like to welcome everyone this afternoon. Notice is hereby given of a workshop of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 22nd day of August 2018 at the hour of 4 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the district on August 17, 2018 at 2 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041-551-050. We do have the presence of a quorum. All the board members are present. Let me please have item number 2, invocation for a pledge and invocation. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Charles, right?
Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, please bless this day and let us have a good meeting, and we'll hear about our topics and listen to the advice we receive. Say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Item 3 is to discuss capital projects for the fiscal year 2018 and 2019.
So let me go ahead and go up to the podium.
Mr. Chairman, before he starts,
Yes.
may I make a comment?
Yes.
I would like to express to the board and staff my disappointment that our general manager is not here at this workshop. I think it would have been very productive had he been here to hear our comments, to give us his input, and answer any questions we may have. Yes, he's due vacation, but timing is everything. We're all here to give our time and our efforts and our input. I really am disappointed the general manager's not here. It's been said, and I agree, that the general manager has a good staff, and the staff can take care and run this thing properly. I have no doubt in that. My reply to that is, if we don't need him, we can buy 5 trucks with what we're spending for a general manager. Again, I'm disappointed the general manager's not here today.
Any other comments? Any other closing?
So to begin, I just want to go over the changes since the last workshop. The last workshop focused on the general fund, and this workshop is going to focus on the capital projects. But in review, I want to review the changes that were discussed at the last workshop. So now, for the revenues for this year, include all the recommendations from the rate study, and that gives us a projected revenue this year of $10.3 million for the coming year. The other changes was we added an extra $10,000 to odor control in the wastewater department, and we revised one of the.
You added it on the revenue side?
No, sir.
On the
Sorry, on the
expense.
expenditures. On the
Okay.
expenditures for the wastewater department. So.
But staying with revenue on the first sheet,
Yes.
that's where we are with your projection revenue for this year based on revenues from the past fiscal year, what we're looking at crystal ball to see what we can do for the current year.
Yes. So we expect that in the coming year, we would have about $10.3 million for the next year.
Given everything runs the same as normal in the previous budget, fiscal budget year,
Yes,
and anticipating that this drought doesn't affect us like it has in the past.
that's right.
So I'm really asking, are you somewhat conservative with your projected revenue?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am. So last year, our revenues were $9.7 million. And this year, if we adopt the recommendations from our rate study, I anticipate that we would have $10.3 million. So we need that revenue. from
Okay.
the rate study.
Sorry, may I, gentlemen?
Yes.
So, based on the rate study, that's what you did on the potable water side and the wastewater side. And you know, if that's adopted, what was proposed, I think 3% on the potable water side, we're looking at a potential increase of $385,000 on water service.
Yes.
And then wastewater, potentially $756,000.
That's right.
Because that's where I've always had a concern is that it's been, how long ago did you guys do? 16, 15? You
15.
Did 15, you did the water, the potable water side increase. We did not do the wastewater. So we're really playing catch-up on the wastewater side.
That's right.
And so the rate study showed that, you know, if we got up to a level that we can take and make up for the shortfall in the wastewater side with its own revenue without having to deplete the revenue from the potable water side. And my point is that those funding go to those capital improvement projects that we've been trying to take care of. So this is balancing it out a little more to
Treatment
that
side is the
level.
most expensive part of
It is, but it's been on the lower side of the revenue because those rates weren't being adjusted. Just like our taxes or like a good example, like anything we do in life or business, there's always an incremental increase so that at one point we don't have one big bite to have to take on something jumping up. Thank you.
That's right. So after, now proceeding to the expenditure side, there was the increase that we made to Department 8, the wastewater plant, where we increased the odor and grease control from 90,000 to 100,000. It was a $10,000 increase, and then the other change was in the fleet maintenance. We found a cheaper option for the scanner equipment that
Sam?
they were requesting.
Staying with odor control, that was a interesting topic for the board to tackle. Do you think just that 10,000 is going to really make a noticeable improvement of where we're trying to go in that area?
I think that the budget for the current year was already significant, and we're increasing it even more. Through June, we had only spent about half of the 90,000 that we had budgeted. Since then, I know that we're making more efforts. The odor control committee has been getting together.
But it's a new direction the board has taken, the district has taken to go ahead and take odor control on head-on, and that's when you and some other board members went to the odor control conference, came back with some great ideas. I think we got somebody who wanted to come in and do some pilot studies for us.
Right.
So the fact that we didn't spend it doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile. We have a better direction for allocating those funds, am I correct?
Yes, recently we've been making more efforts to be proactive in that area, since we had those recommendations that came from that odor control conference. I know our director of operations and our engineer went to that conference, and they had some recommendations together with the committee after they came back, and we have those are not reflected on the statement that I gave you, because those happened in July and August.
Those are the reason for my questions, because given all that renewed interest and progress, you feel comfortable that your budget for odor control will be sufficient to start with?
Yes.
Thank you.
If I can speak to that, Alex and I have been meeting with staff on this issue for some time, and we've indicated or picked out 3 or 4 problems, and we're using 3 or 4 different methods to see which method does the best and cost-wise, which is the most effective. We haven't quite used up the money this year. The $10,000 is just a suggestion. If when we come back to the board with our final recommendations, if we're going to need a little more money, we'll just have to ask for it. But
Do a
we feel
budget
like,
amendment.
yeah, but we feel like it's necessary to tackle it in the most effective and the most cost-effective means possible. And when I say just Alex and I, it's Alex and I and half a dozen 6-8 staff that we've been doing this every 2 weeks for about 6 weeks now. So there's been a considerable effort to locate the problems, identify them, quantify the degree of the problem, come up with some results that we can bring back to the board.
The cost of fixing the problem is a whole different,
Yeah.
whole
Yeah, that-
different side and issue and
Yeah.
amount of money.
This is a good
A
start.
part of this is actually odor control.
Yeah.
It's not just finding the solution or throwing money at the problem, you're actually controlling as you go along.
Just to add to that, one of the, I think when I first approached it, my thought was, let's just put as much money as we can into it, because it's a problem. But as we have gone through this process, somebody mentioned at the meeting the last time that we're essentially spending a lot of money to solve other people's problems, because a lot of it is in, some of it, I should say, a certain percentage of it is private, but we still have to deal with it. So as far as the number, the amount of money we
You
need.
mean upstream on the connection line on private property?
Yeah, we're having to address, private issues. So that takes us in a little bit different direction, not much off path, but just slightly different, and because we're also working with, on the policy, I'm also serving on the policy committee, and we're working with that issue over here, on that side. But as far as the revenue, it's hard to say, because right now, the way what we're trying to do is just get enough data in to make sure that what we are using is actually working, and we have some results to base it on. You know, for instance, we have the new meter out there that's measuring the flow meter, that's measuring the odor in that particular area. And we only have one for now, but we're going to work with that and just move it around to different areas. So we'll have information prior to the installation of whatever media we're using there, and then after to compare it. But that will determine the budget. But in all fairness, I think when I heard that statement the last time that we're actually spending $90,000 a year to solve other people's problems, that was not very encouraging. So it kind of shifts, I think, some of the things we're going to be looking at, because now we're going to try to address it with the people that are actually involved. And I just received some information today, actually,
Okay.
in regards to that. So we'll be coming back with some more information on that.
Thank you.
So the variable here is how much is going to be transferred over to capital projects to fund ongoing projects. So with that, that's why if you look at the bottom line figure, it lines up at 10.3, and the reason is because right now I have the excess of revenues over projected expenditures in the form of a transfer going to capital projects. So depending on that discussion, we're going to have that discussion right now, what are the projects that we need as a district, and that could change this map here. Okay. The debt service, so to pay ongoing obligations, I have also scheduled what the first payments are of the two revenue, the note and the Texas Water Development Board loan that we have applied for. They have not been approved yet by those agencies. So that right now I have that in here as part of our debt service payments. And then with that, we can proceed to the capital projects. So the capital project starts with our, on the revenue, the proceeds from the Texas Water Development Board loan for the sewer infrastructure projects, and the revenue note for the $2.5 million for the meter project, and the transfer from the general fund to fund these projects. That's on the revenue side. So that, again, that variable is the transfer from the general fund. And we can proceed with the projects themselves. We'll call Charles up here to talk about the projects themselves.
So you've gone through the different departments and looked at their projected expenditures, correct?
Yes,
You
sir.
kind of glossed over that.
Well, yeah, we covered that in the first workshop. The general fund that was the whole workshop.
Bear with me,
itself. Yeah.
bear with me on page 5 of 195 of 119. In
Five?
5 of maintenance expenditure, I see you've only got an increase of $7,545. This is maintenance. It concerns me that, you know, is that adequate to?
Okay, this.
Maintenance is
the
really
name
a-
of this department is a little misleading. It's called maintenance, but what it really is fleet maintenance. So this is maintenance for our vehicles.
Yes, I understand, and that's where we're trying to come out of the hole of lack of maintenance, in my opinion. And so this is just not SOP as a standard operating procedure that you're going with, only adding $7,500 to really tackle, you know, what we hope is, you know, taking better care of the fleet. Staff's
You're on,
comfortable with
what line item is that?
I'm just on page 5.
Okay.
I'm looking at the maintenance down to total.
Oh,
Not
okay.
line item, no,
Okay.
I just took the total, sorry. So mine is a general question about that department, which we all feel is important, maintenance of the vehicles and everything you're saying, but, you know, what we've been spending, right or wrong, as far as how it could be done, and we're working with that, but are we taking the best care of our equipment with this program?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the process that we used to come up with this budget was very involved with a lot of collaboration between the finance department, the department head, and the general manager and the director of operations. This was a collaborative effort. We started with a process where we took out all of the one-time expenditures, our contractual obligations, our personnel costs, and
Eddie, you're the numbers guy. Mr. Director of Operations.
Yes, sir.
The fleet management program that we involved at Davis Hardship,
Yes, sir.
where it's tracking, how has that been effective to monitor our vehicles and be able to take, has that been a good tool that's been save us money, cost us money? What, do you have an assessment of that?
Quite
Davis
honestly,
Hardship.
At this point, it hasn't helped. And basically, it's been down now for about a month to a month and a half, and I've been in constant contact with Mr. Freddie Spitz, and they have not been able to fix that program.
Down from their end for the tracking system or in our fleet?
Yes. No, from their end, because the vehicles are not showing up.
Well, that's a disappointment. I mean, are we the only ones, or is that system-wide for them?
That's what I'm trying to get him to respond. He has not responded. I've called him and I've asked him, and he tells me that it's gonna get fixed. And he told me a couple of times already, he told me it'll be fixed by this Friday. It's not fixed. I email him the next week, and he won't answer. So
Well,
I call
I'm
him back.
disappointed in that,
pay
because
a
we paid
annual fee.
we
We
paid
should
an annual
do
fee
that.
for that.
It
We
Should
gotta
get
have,
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
a percentage discount for sure on our renewal.
Well, that is my next question to him. as to,
No, it's a statement. It's not gonna be a question, it's gonna be a statement.
Well, yes, I'm gonna ask him as to what is gonna be the discount or what is the refund for this year as far as that is concerned, because he has not responded and they haven't fixed it. He is in Florida, where the company is in California.
And you're here.
And I'm here.
I individually would like for you to get them to fix it, because I know it's not just a great tracking tool, but it's also got that fleet-wide system where we can monitor electronically not just mileage, by mileage, but we can monitor the emissions system, we can monitor everything on
Oh,
those
yes,
vehicles.
As a matter of fact, when it was working, I would get with the managers and look at the trucks, and I would tell them as to this particular truck's been idling so long, why, trying to find out what's going on, and other issues that come up with the truck. The maintenance manager has also used it for.
Okay, this is a budget workshop, I bogged it down, would you just get it fixed, please?
Yes, sir. I'm working on it.
Sorry, Eddie.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's my questions, and that, go ahead where you wanted to.
So I was just giving an overview of the budget process that we used. You know, we gave the department heads a target amount, and that target amount had no increases over last year's budget, and any increases that they wanted had to be justified, you know, in writing, you know, with explanation of what it was, why did we need it, what problems would it solve, how much it was going to cost. And this was a process going back and forth between the department heads, the finance department, and the supervisors, the general manager, and the director of operations. And that was preliminarily approved by that committee, and then it was brought before the budget committee. Anything that was approved by this group, the management group, was then brought before the budget committee, and all of those increases in budgets were presented to the budget committee, and some of those were approved, and some of them were denied. So that's how we arrived at these budget numbers that you see before you here.
Eddie, I have a general question. That's not anything in particular, but on certain items, certain line items, there's no history of expenditure, yet we added a significant amount of money from either from zero or from, let's say, from $500. We went to $5,000. You're saying we got justification for those increases? Okay.
Do you have one in particular, or is there?
Well, they're kind of just sporadic.
Some things are, I mean, I don't know which one you're talking about, but some of them are either done biannual or, you know, semi-annual, so they're different.
And I
things.
kind of figured like testing or things like that. There was one here that I was looking at, just as an example. On the equipment rental,
What
Page.
page are you on?
this is 8 of 119. On equipment rental, last year we spent $533. The current budget is $10,000. On the year-to-date, we've spent zero, but yet we're still keeping the $10,000.
So, Mark, can you speak to that? That's in your department.
That would just be like for rental of pumps during a hurricane or something?
Right?
It's just there in case we need it, in case we have a hurricane and we need to rent some 6-inch pumps or something?
Right, yeah, and the reason I even brought it up is because we didn't use but $533 last year.
Yeah. No.
But the budget for this year is $10,000. So,
Same as this
yeah,
current year.
yeah,
So
so
it's just a.
it's just a
standby.
carryover, I realize that, but we didn't, I'm just curious why we still need to carry over the $10,000 if we have a history of only using $500. In other words, something like that, we can always take money out somewhere and buy or rent the
But does
equipment.
that slow them down? Sorry, does that
Well,
slow them down when
it-
they need to take and respond?
Correct.
In an
And that is-
emergency,
yes.
so
And that
just
is-
have it
And do a
in
budget
the budget.
adjustment.
And that is something to
I'd rather carry that
consider.
particular item, I'd rather carry that.
Doesn't mean
Just
it's
in
money
case.
spent.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I understand, we could take it out, and then he could come to us for a budget amendment later, but that could be a couple of meetings, and, you know, he needs to get it fixed yesterday.
Right.
Thank you.
In the same department, we have major repairs from, last year's budget was $5,600. Last year, there was no budget for it, and this year, we're requesting $20,000. That's for major repairs. And those are only kind of anomalies that I noticed in here that, yes, I understand that part of it about having to have access to the money right away. I get that. But that's mainly what stood out for me is some of these, in this case, it's just, there's zero budget from last
That
year.
goes to the overall department that's down $52,736.
Yeah, I asked the.
Okay.
So that was a total reduction from the whole department.
I asked the department heads to, as accurately as they could, allocate the money wherever they felt they needed it.
Okay.
And if they were going to exceed that amount, they needed to provide justification for it. And so you may see some of those things where money was moved from one line item to another where they anticipate that they're going to have those expenses. But if you want to know,
No,
you know, his
that's fine.
major repairs, why he's anticipating major repairs, I can, on this one, I think last year, that particular one that you're talking about,
Mhm.
we had it budgeted in line 7106, and I moved it to 7102. Why? Because 7106 was a sewer development, system development charge.
Okay.
And that is supposed to be something that's authorized by the board, the way Mr. Galvan explained it to me.
Okay.
That the system development charges are supposed to be authorized by the board. And what he intended was a budget for major repairs. And if you see, there has been expenses in the past few years on
Mhm.
major repairs. And that would line up with
Right.
that cost, with
Yes.
that budget.
But
Yeah.
if you move 7106 and moved it to 7102,
It's the same amount.
do we still need 7106?
So
As a
that's
line
why
item.
7106 is zero, and in
But you
case
still
that
need
there
it
was
as,
something
do
that.
you still need it as a line item to fill later?
Yeah,
There's just no
it's-
requested
it's gonna
budget,
be
that's all.
zero
I know that,
Right.
but
project.
why an extra number if we don't need it?
In case they change their mind? I don't know.
Spend some more money.
No, it's zero for this.
Thank you.
project. So, I guess there's no more questions on that.
that's,
We're going to proceed to
the
the
payment.
project's
Payment.
budget discussion.
All right, so this is the first presentation on the project proposed for the Fund 3 capital projects, which is the remainder of our system improvements, the water infrastructure and the sewer infrastructure. And so, of course, the first one that's in our budget enhancement report is the Port Isabel wastewater treatment plant. And that's essentially finishing off the construction that's in progress today, and then also the sludge holding tank construction. We're looking at that construction starting up in January next year. So that's what this first budget is for.
Daisy, do you have this on the monitor that, can you scroll?
Page 18?
Page 18 of 119,
Yes.
the blue one?
Yeah.
Maybe just kind of focus in the,
Yeah, maybe it's just, we can go through the project description. Yeah, if you go back, no, wait, okay, yeah, a little bit higher. I mean, that's the line items, the summary?
yes,
So
right,
basically.
that's the meat.
Right, so, yeah, so I mean, the existing engineering contract with Corollo, where they're finishing out the construction phase services, we're projecting that 40,000 of their existing contract's gonna carry over to next year. And with the existing contract with CSA Construction, we're estimating 313,000 is gonna carry over to next year to finish out the construction.
How long was our contract with Corolla?
Oh, well, I mean, it's until.
Last project.
Yeah.
Until the
it's-
project's completed?
Correct. Yeah, pretty much startup for the plant will be the last service. And then the 7166, that one is the, basically 38 is the fund with, that's with Texas Water Development Board. Right now, they're still holding retainage at Bay New York. That doesn't get released until the end of the job. So So that's where the balance covers the 13. And then 35 is our sewer infrastructure account, where we already have basically our fund balance that would cover the billing of the contract with CSA, and then also our closing costs for the 2018 B revenue notes that we're going to do with the Texas Water Development Board for the financial advisor and bond counsel. So those are combined because they're all in the same, they come from the same fund. That's the summary for the
To wrap up with the sludge holding tank,
Yes.
that rascal.
This is one of two.
Well,
The
if
last
you needed
one of
to,
Corolla.
yes, we're not doing two.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, whenever we need to go to a 2 MTD plant, that's when the second tank, we're talking 10 years more before the second tank comes into play.
Have you gotten a closing on the water development board when they're gonna release funds?
We do, we're on schedule for a board commitment for the September 20th meeting for the Texas Water Development Board. So we should make the agenda. We got all the backup to them. And I'm working on environmental review comments as we speak. And so we're on schedule for closing in December.
Charles, hold up. Gentlemen, well, there's ladies standing up. Would you give them your chairs, please?
There's another chair over here.
Charles, and the funding for all this is already set aside, or?
Well, the 1.35 million, that's part of our loan request. That's counted as revenue on the capital budget. And from, the beginning of Fund 3.
Out of that 5.5 you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that's already included in there? Okay. And the rest of it?
The rest of it's our fund balance.
Okay.
Or 40,000 is the tax bond, the remaining balance in there.
Keep going.
All right, yeah, yes, we'll go on to the next project. The next form is our water plant 2, calling it residuals management, but in essence, it's the sludge lagoon, getting it cleaned or building a new one. And so basically, we have our work order that's still open with Garber, trying to resolve a change of scope to get it back on track. So that's,
Well, we're really not looking at $1.5 million on that project. We're still reassessing where we are with that. Keep
Right.
it simple.
and in honesty, this is the project, right now, we have that $1.2 million line item and no fund to cover it. So, I mean, this is where the cut needs to happen.
Well, that'll be in your report in a regular meeting, so we can kind of get up to speed with the lagoon at that time.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as making the budget balance, we're we much know where our fund balance stands today, and I mean, really, this number's gonna be cut down to balance the budget.
Yes.
It has to, it has to.
This is the single biggest
It has
item
to.
that we don't have funding for.
$1.5 million for a $100,000 project doesn't work. Thank you.
And then we can just skip to the memo, that's kind of the history of our sludge lagoon. And then get to the next budget. Enhancement form. Oh, yeah, let me go back. Oh, yeah, I guess we'll get down to line items. So this next one is our water plant 2 rapid mix and chlorine regulators. So the first thing we do at the water plant is we add the coagulant to, basically set out our organics before going into the filters. And so right now, we only have one of 2 rapid mix in operation. And so this budget gets our second one restored and back in service. So that's kind of a pretty cut and dry need there. And then the chlorine regulators, they're attached to each 1-ton cylinder. And that's just for safety when we need to. We're short 2 regulators at each plant. So these will allow us to transfer all 4 tanks that we need to time into the chemical feed.
With cranking up the Portersville plant?
No, we need to restore the clear well before we can start up. So that's actually one of our other capital projects that needs to happen.
So we're going to be talking about the same items here. It's going to be increasing this item, correct?
Well, no, this 36,500. I mean, that's what we need for the rapid mix and the chlorine regulators. That'll cover those components that are on this one budget enhancement form. So It's actually just a carry forward from what was in our current budget. We just haven't had time to, complete the bidding process and get it first.
I think Alex brought it up
So-
earlier that.
So we have the what we have the money
Yeah, this
for
is our
it.
fund balance carrying forward.
Right.
I don't, I'd like you to rephrase that you
Oh.
didn't use it because you didn't have time to.
Well, maybe that's a bad way of saying it. Well, it's water infrastructure. We're getting the altitude valves in time to book it for
You
this
said to
fiscal
bid
year.
it out, so,
Yeah. And so this is one that's going to just carry over to next year.
thank you.
Right. So, yeah, we move on to the next enhancement form. It's, now this is just general water valve replacement. Pretty much this is tied to addressing our water valves as you get off the causeway at South Pleasure Island on the older lines. Probably, those could be 40, 50-year-old valves. And we're looking at changing out to 16-inch, 10-inch, so we don't have, we can isolate when we need to do an emergency repair.
I thought we did do some of that the last time. Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are the remaining valves that are still pending.
Okay.
So have you just not updated that total at the bottom?
Oh, yeah, 13,000 is the approved amount. The 20,000 was just a general number for upgrading 2-inch lines.
Right, but the total's still 33,000.
Oh, yeah, but that's not in the budget. The budget amount, line item is 13 grand. That's what's on the request.
So scratch out the 33.
Right. And then we just got the quotes to back it up. And then the next item is the clear well at Water Plant 1.
That's the one that needs to be resealed?
Right. Yeah, and then we did have a concrete tank specialist come down, and he gave us a revised proposal. And so with his proposal, we were able to cut the budget down to 80,000. The quote from Southern Trenchless was 127. So we went ahead and this one, I mean, to get it done, it's gonna have to be in-house, plans, specs, and estimate, advertised for bid, awarded accordingly. So this is one I might work with the manufacturer to get details and.
Well, that's the one that we had issues with in a regular meeting when we were talking about it, and, he, estimated costs are to be determined. We didn't have, he was gonna come down and give us a concrete bid
Well,
for the concrete.
Yeah, the Bible proposal was pretty much the amount that he was quoting for his method, which is essentially cementitious repair and epoxy lining. And the method that's been revised is basically adding structural supports to the center column and repairing some of the cracks from the outside. So it's just a different approach. to
Dealing
repair.
with extremely aged well.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's-
Right.
And we discussed at that meeting on this item, that we discussed of exploring other tanks,
Right.
fiberglass tanks, Red Ewald up in Karn City, as an example.
Did we ever
Dragon
get any
River.
bids on that?
No, I mean, as far as the budget number, I mean, we were started out at 150, we knocked it down to 80. But I mean, that should give us room, I mean, if we can look at other type of tanks and stay in the
Well,
budget.
that's the idea. Before we
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
repair a 50-year-old tank, why aren't we looking at
That was my
something-
concern, because I went and looked at it, and I think just doing a patch job on it, on something that old, I don't think is really the
I would
right way
like
to
to know
go.
what it costs to be able to take and get, a tank or tanks that would serve the purpose, but still be new. I
Part
think-
of the
My experience with these fiberglass tanks, they're not all that expensive.
part of it was we had looked at was the actual location, the placement of it, because it's gravity fed, so
Yeah.
it has to kind of fit in that area,
It does, I mean, there's a huge excavation.
And so we would have to pay some money to excavate all that out of there, or we could just set them inside, we could get 2 smaller tanks that are
And we need
taller.
dirt for a holding pond, so.
But yeah, no, but yeah, my main concern was just putting money into a 50-year-old cement tank.
I'd like to be able to take and have information for alternatives for, other tanks besides repairing that old thing.
I don't think the public is aware of that currently all the water process that is used system-wide is processed in Laguna Vista. Several years ago, they put in a microfiltration system at the Laguna Vista plant that really has helped the quality. The plant here in Port Isabel does not have that type of filtration system on it right now. We find it necessary to start upgrading plant number 1 and get it online because it's very taxing to plant number 2. So.
Well, it's wearing out the membrane.
Yeah, it's wearing out the membranes on the microfiltration, so we've got to get number 1 back up and running at the same level, the same quality as number 2.
But it's not gonna have the same quality without the microfiltration.
Without, but this is
That
a
was the
start.
$4 million
Yeah, that's $4
project.
million hit.
That
Oh,
project was.
I thought that was more like 8 for that project.
Yeah, which, like, it's referring to Proposition 2, I mean, we're just building.
For the microfiltration,
Well, yeah,
would it?
microfiltration, yeah, it was 8 million plus.
It was $8 million, yeah.
But we didn't build it.
Oh, this tank is 50,000 gallon. The concrete tank that's on the side, yeah, it's a 50,000 gallon. It's 50,000. Right, so, we'll open that one. So, and then the quote from the revised quote is attached for reference. And the next budget item is the elevated storage tank. We got our annual inspection reports for the last meeting, and, you know, this is referring to ground storage tank number 2 is located at Water Plant 1. Port Isabel elevated storage tank is the one right here next to the building. And, you know, those line items that got stricken, I mean, those are coatings that probably are down to the last year of life on them. But it's one of those to where we're, you know, without the budget, we're extending that to a future year. And we're requesting $20,000 in the budget just to take care of, you know, rust outliers, spot repairs, and, you know, just try to make some dents in what we can for the areas that have been corroded.
You still didn't change your 720.
No, yeah, the only request right now from the current budget is $20,000.
I noticed, and we'll visit with it more later, but I'd like to know more about their proposed method of, you know, treating and protecting these towers and tanks. I see, what I'm seeing is too may be cool. You know, there's better processes to do it, to get a longer life out of them.
Problem you got is the metal underneath is so far.
Yeah, but you just get it down, you scale it down, and it's a matter of putting getting rid of all the rust and then treating it with something that's gonna be, you know, have a longer life than just what I saw that they're proposing. For another time, I think that needs to be looked at closer to get a better job, longer lasting job.
And then all the inspection reports are attached, so we can jump down quite a bit here to page 112. This is, well, 112 is the buffer zone requirement for Port Isabel. You know, it just depends on when we're able to close for the land by the animal shelter. And so this is the line item that's in place that's
Carry on.
part of the purchase.
What's the delay, the title policy? That we don't-
Well, yeah, well, actually, the only way we're gonna do this is without a title policy, because the title research shows
Right,
different
got that,
settlers.
right.
So basically, we're at the point of doing having some affidavit signed for the warranty deed. And also, we're trying to separate this title or closing from the land as a whole, just to try to.
This has been dragging for some time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at this, they're, I think on the signature page for the documents, which is, 31 signatures, they're trying to take care of this in the same amount as the 84 acres behind Lutheran Heights. And I think they got that under, or on an agreement in May, but they had to do an NDA advertising because the owners had trouble with the IRS. And so we're getting to the tail end of that 100-day period. So we should, you know, and then I actually did get a call from Kevin Campbell as far as they're getting close, so. That's all I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, you know, pretty much concludes that project, or, you know, that budget item. And then if we jump on to page 117, this is the remaining portion, description on that $5 million loan that we have with Texas Water Development Authority. And in These are 18 lift stations. That's each one 17. Oh, we'll keep scrolling down. Oh, yeah, no, it's a couple pages down. Must be marked wrong. There we go. So basically, these are, kind of carries over, I mean, these are the 18 lift stations that we've identified through, capacity issues and inspection, that they're aged, they're at the end of their life. We're basically trying to get them rehab to get us through the next 20 years. So, that's, lift station 1 is right there on Mesquite. In Laguna Vista, lift station 2 is at the water tower in Laguna Vista. Lift station 3 is Laguna Heights, and 4 is Laguna Heights. 10 is on Highway 100 there by Las Hoyas. 25 is Port Isabel behind the Porty's Lane. Station 7 is Island Avenue. 33 is the Park Center right here on Port Road. And then I'm going to scroll the next page. 16s are in front of Garriga. 37 is on Ocelot there at the South Lodge Island Golf Course. 17 is on kind of like that studio walk path in the alley between Madison and the road. Where's she going to
Adams Street?
Adams.
Adams?
Yeah, on Adams there, close to the bay. 38 is Bethpage. 14 is Longoria and North Shore. And then Water Plant 2 lift station on site. 15 is,
Community Center.
yeah, right there, in front of the community center on Port Isabel. 12 is Champion. 35 is
Port Road.
Port Road, right here, and then the rest is the engineering, flow monitoring, and just the lift station 18 force main. That's Woody's Lane. That we're upgrading that force main to accommodate the wet weather flow and get into the plant, and be able to use the existing pumps and improvements at lift station 18. Any upgrades there, and then just the rest is the bond reserve fund is 1 year of annual payments that stays in reserve until basically covers the last payment of the payment.
Is a variation, huge variation, in the majority of these lift stations based on the size of the lift station or the condition of the rehab?
The condition that we have, those improvements.
And so we're getting close to some potential issues that are not corrected
Yes.
with TECQ.
Yeah, this is all for the prevention of sewer overflow. That's the intent.
And again, they're all extremely aged and dated,
Who are you talking about?
the lift stations.
Oh, not me.
No. Majority of those lift stations have not been updated rehab.
But
Anyways,
Let's see, and on the final form is our meter upgrade. It looks like we put the inline system in here. Oh, no, it's all in here. I'm going to scroll to the next page. And this is the private placement to upgrade our, for the inline system.
And that's what we're working on now, and we've got the loan pending for that, we're working on.
Yeah, we're at the pre-deployment stage. And our early start date for meter install is we're looking at October.
you said middle of September, you think the money is?
Oh, no, as far as, we're working on the reimbursement agreement right now, so fund balance is gonna cover it until we close on the loan, and there's not, that hasn't been scheduled. I'm not sure where we're at on the private placement as far as.
Oh, the TCEQ hasn't gotten back to us. I've been calling them, but they haven't responded.
Same thing as car chip.
Yes, I'm afraid so. I am gonna call that
Don't
gentleman.
ask.
The supervisor tomorrow, though.
Thank you.
Does the public get to comment on any of this, or is it a workshop?
Sure. It is a workshop,
Or is this just a board workshop?
so.
Let's get a legal in here and get that.
Yeah, I wanna
I'd like
go-
legal.
There's not an invitation for the audience.
Only because it's not on the agenda. It doesn't mean that it may not be opened up, but I'd like to have legal answer that question. It's above my pay
I know I
grade.
must have missed a meeting where this item was discussed in detail and approved, or?
No, this is the first one. We've had an earlier workshop, but this is kind of a capital improvement or a budget workshop that we're involved with now every year for our fiscal budget year.
I don't see any reason why.
I don't either,
We've
but
got time until 5:30.
No, not sure reason.
well, we don't start the other meeting till 5:30. This one is not timed by the agenda. It starts, no end. It's up to you, Chairman.
Yeah, no, if you want to make a comment, yes, but it's not, the board can't comment or discuss back on it.
Yeah, no, I just-
already know how
Yeah, if you can go to
how
the
it
mic so we
works.
can have it on the recording.
It's just strictly to make a comment or leave something, but it's not for questions and answers.
Yeah, it's such a substantial capital expenditure. I guess in one fiscal year, I just, as a community citizen, want to make sure we've done our homework. And had, I guess, gone to other communities and checked on the use of this meter system. And I know that it's supposed to help us find leaks, last meeting I was at. But I'm just wondering, is that going to provide any more cost savings, cost efficiencies as a result of spending $2.5 million? And I was wondering how many employees this is going to displace by utilizing this new technology. And would the money be better spent towards going to the employees' retirement fund or some other expenditures, or do it on a phase-in process or something? But it's just a general observation sitting here.
I think we can, because this is not a public comment. This is just a workshop, so we can answer his questions.
Whoever wants to answer, I can. Yes, we have been dealing with the existing meters are over 10 years old, and they have a life expectancy on those meters. So they do have to be replaced, and they have been. We've been working on this, discussing. We've dealt with 3 other vendors on these. Employees will not be displaced. Employees' jobs will be enhanced and easier and safer, as opposed to having to go into the field and actually go house by house to gauge these. The meters will be I shouldn't say 100% accurate, but they will be more accurate in meter reading than the current meters that we have right now because of the data, the age system of what we've got. So that's just normal wear and tear of just having to update aged product.
We also did, and to answer your question, do we need them now or not, he touched on it, is that staff brought us information of the ages of our meters. These are 20-year meters elsewhere. We're lucky to get 10 years of them here, life of them here. And we were using Badger meters, which is the Badger.
I don't know if we should.
Well, we were using meters that were taken and actually being phased out. And the system we're using now is one where it's a drive-by, and they take and collect the data, but then the little nodules, the little sending units on the meters weren't working, and the crabs were cutting the wires, and so we were sending staff out to fix that, and people were not getting accurate readings, and
the meter is no longer being manufactured.
And the meter's no longer being manufactured, so we really got stuck in a situation. Do we stay with a lame horse, or do we try and go ahead and upgrade to something that's going to take and serve us well? Believe me, we struggled long and hard, down to the point, what do we do with the old meters, of trying to get any, rebate or recapture on them. But Joel, I think, is involved with that. He's got his hand up. He can answer better.
I just want to add that it's going to be a customer-friendly product. You'll be able to download an app, and you'll be able to monitor your usage at home. If you're out of town and you see water going through your meter, you'll be able to call us, hey, something's going on, and you go check your meter. So it's going to have a lot of different things that are available to the customer, and we're looking into even more things that might be available. So it's going to be a real good product for our customers.
So how do we get electricity for those meters?
No, they're battery operated. They got a 20-year life.
Yeah.
So we're catching up to the 21st century, folks. That's actually what we're doing. So
We did do a study on that, just a cost effectiveness study, and the people that we selected worked with us for a year, and they kept asking more information, and we got what we feel is a very good cost analysis of projections based elsewhere and what we're doing here. They spent a lot of time with our staff to see exactly what we're doing, what we're using now. And they were able to bring back some rate studies that were encouraging that, you know, it will repay for itself over, you know, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think like 5 years, but we're hoping even a 3-year with loss prevention. And then also, there's going to be a downside to this. Some of us, I'm one of them, may get a higher bill because our old meters weren't reading the way they should. And we were hoping to get, you know, you should be in the 90% range of effectiveness, but we were getting some 50 and lower, to where a lot of money was being lost. Sorry?
Our percentage rates, it won't,
No, your rate, no, sir, your rate won't change, but a lot of water was going through the meters that was not being metered or measured. So we weren't able to bill properly. And so again, that's just because we had a 20-year-old horse.
How many actual meters is it that are being installed?
Well, yeah,
I'd say
that
about
number-
7,000.
700.
Close to 7,000?
Yeah,
We have a total of
about
over
6,700.
7,000.
6,700.
6,700.
And just to add to some of the discussions that we had, one of the deciding factors was that we could have gone in and replaced components. But the cost of replacing components and replacing the meter was about $50 a part. So it was a no-brainer, you know. If you're gonna go in and dig it up, might as well just replace the meter for an extra $50 and get the longevity out of it. Because it would be hard to determine whether the component change would have made that big of a difference. It might have initially, but then we could have had other issues with the meter itself, so.
Plus the software ability between the customer and the supplier, the water district, being able to determine if there's a problem, you can monitor the problem. Our system can pick it up and say, hey, wait a minute, there's excessive usage, you know, for a 2-day period, which indicates there's a leak. We can turn it off here at the district. We can do a disconnect and turn it off right there if you're out of town or something's wrong. So there are a lot of added advantages that we gained by doing it and catching up, and it won't have to be done for another 10 plus years. And you're buying a manufactured, warranted product. I mean, there was a lot of discussion, but overall, the board felt it was the best decision for the constituents of the water district. Any other comments, questions?
Lady.
Yes.
I'm just curious, what is the actual cost per unit, like per household?
Mr. Munoz?
For the meter, it's $187.
To the average household
For
meter.
for the average household, yeah, for 5/8 inch.
It would have been $137 to just replace the parts.
Yes.
2.5 divided by 6,500 is $350.
We got a whole bunch of money in software and the encode system.
Yeah, it's not just the
where it can
meters.
take-
Right, so there's,
Yeah.
the actual cost of it is
And
more than
installation.
that meter.
Installation,
And installation.
yeah.
And maintenance. Well, maintenance in the sense that the vendor is keeping track of what's going. We have a software database that we have to go into. So we're changing softwares now, and the maintenance on the software is going to be done by the vendor.
And it's all cloud-based,
Yes.
so out from the cloud, wherever that is.
What's the charge for each household for the meter or not?
The cost of each meter.
No, how do you charge back to the company? No charge?
No charge.
Okay.
No,
Also doing business.
it's included in that loan that we're getting.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know, one thing I like about the system, we have a lot of leaking pipes. And sometimes we don't know that they're leaking. Because especially in the island, which is all sand, you may never have water go to the surface. This system has the ability by triangulation to pinpoint a leak within 10 feet of wherever that leak occurs. So this is water that's been processed, ready to sell, but it's leaking into the sand. So if we can find those leaks more effectively, it's a savings to us all.
if we got a combine, we're running corn, and the corn's falling out the bottom, we don't get it to market, we're losing money. Same thing with water. Well, About everything.
Eddie, Charles, Robert, you have anything else to add? Are we done in closing on this? So we're
No, sir. I don't have-
dismissing the workshop and resume our regular meeting at 5:30? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Board,
Mhm.
anything else left to discuss? Share, ideas? Council, anything? We'll adjourn this meeting at 5:01 PM. We'll resume with our regular meeting at 5:30 PM.